as we've been told time and time again. I'm sure you'd love to start the game off here, Chip.
Let's go.
Would love to get the opening coin flip one, but you'd also love to find yourself a way to discard a couple of Archeops. As the player going second, there are ways that you can kind of play around that, right? If you can find a turn 1 Marnie, limit your opponent. If they weren't able to get down a couple Archeops in the discard pile, they're only going to have a few cards to work with.
Yeah, we have seen that. As players have been looking between 2 and 3 Marnie, and of course playing those higher counts of Luminion means that you'll be able to find those. And sure enough, to start things off, Henry Brand shows off that Snorlax.
Yo, he's playing Snorlax.
It's in the prize cards, but it is one of those bottom prizes, so hopefully for Henry's sake, he'll be able to take it. It does look like Justin as well prized
Single
that
prize,
amazing
big
rare
attacker.
Yveltal. That is something that can be a really important attacker in this matchup, especially in the games that you go second. And it does turn out, it looks like Henry has drawn for turn, so that is really, really unfortunate for Justin because that card is incredibly important in this matchup for this exact scenario, and he just doesn't have access to it.
Yep, this could be dangerous. We've seen that early Lugia V-Star. If it has that V-Guard energy on it, then it's such a difficult Pokemon to get a big return knockout on if you don't have that amazing Yveltal. And that definitely makes things tricky. Also, seeing the start off here with that Manaphy means that single prize Pokemon is usually the ideal starter, just having any single prize Pokemon in the active spot in this matchup.
Yeah, a single prizer with the 1 retreat as well, so you can pretty easily just slap a capture energy on it, move it to the bench, into whatever you grabbed off the capture energy is pretty nice. It can be a little awkward when you start something like a Rangaroo, and the Radiant Charizard is an okay starter in some matchups because you can just attack with it on turn 2, but that does require quite a bit more of an energy commitment. We're getting underway here. Henry has found a quick ball, discards an Archeops to get down the Lugia V. I'd say this is probably pretty solid to start the game off for Henry.
Yeah, that's ideal. We see also in the hand there,
It's
looks like that
good.
capture energy too. If another Pokemon were to come down here, maybe you can find one of those friendly inclusions. Like you mentioned, the Oranguru is a great card to help out early on in the match and get those right cards into the deck and maybe some better cards into the hand.
And the hand looks pretty solid for Henry. He's got an Evolution Incense. It looks like there's a Research as well, and I expect to see something like that Luminion or Research being prepped on top of the Guru.
Yep, absolutely. You mentioned earlier that Marnie is such a crucial play on the opening turn going second, so you can just go ahead and foreshadow that occurring and give yourself a decent option on the second turn.
Over on Justin's end, we'll start off with that Evolution Incense. He'll take a moment to check the prize cards and is going to get that sad news about the Yveltal not being here. It's not something he'll have access to. Something I do want to bring up as well in the prizes, you mentioned that V-Guard energy. That was actually one of Henry's other prize cards. So Justin will, in this kind of niche scenario, have the opportunity to theoretically respond with a big Lugia with a few energies on it, but then the question becomes, will Henry be able to find Yveltal to take that out?
There you go. Yeah, that can be certainly tricky. It also means a lot of those powerful energies are going to have to be used in the matchup to clear off that Lugia V. So we'll see what ends up happening here as Justin's got some decisions to make. He, of course, is going to try to map this out as best as possible. Sees that Archeops and is going to try to get those in the discard soon.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I saw a Quick or Ultra Ball in the hand, but with Archeops being grabbed, that's usually a pretty solid sign, and it does indeed seem that Ultra Ball is coming down. And I think he does have that Marnie in hand. We could see that play turn 1 here. Yeah,
got a little worried seeing the supporter heavy hand there, but losing the boss's orders could be relevant occasionally here and there. But this doesn't look like a matchup where you're going to get to target down the Lugia V early on. You went second. Right. You don't have that luxury.
Yeah, no targeting Archeops as well. That can be a really solid use for the boss's orders to try to limit your opponent's access to something like their Yveltal, a very energy-hungry attacker. But with the grab of the Archeops, it makes me less confident that we're going to be seeing a Marnie here. Oh no, we could see it because of that Aurora energy. Very nice. Discarding the Archeops for that cost of the Aurora, and does find that second Lugia V, a really important thing when you're going second in this mirror.
Absolutely. You have to be wary of the fact that you're probably going to lose one of those Lugia Vs. It's just so easy for your opponent to be able to take that knockout, Summoning Star, giving access to all those energies by way of the Archeops, and eventually you just grab that supporter with the Luminion. But the Marnie is going to try to cause some disruption. And it looks like maybe some read the wind time here, Chip, and we'll see.
It could be read the wind. I mean, Justin does have a Rangaroo in the hand. It feels a little silly to use a Rangaroo, though, whenever you're just going to read the wind and draw the card anyway, but you never know. Maybe you'll draw something that's pretty useful. But yeah, Justin will
Bird
actually
Keeper.
hold off on the Guru, go for that Read the Wind. It does ditch the Bird Keeper with it.
Yeah, love seeing the hold of the quick ball as
Oh,
well.
that's
Have to be
fire.
thinking about discards
Grab
as
the
you already
loops.
have one of those Archeops in the discard pile. Would have loved to see a second one there, or maybe a way.
I think he did get the second one, right? Because he got the Aurora down.
Oh,
Remember?
okay, yeah. So there you go. But just having a way to continue to
Yes.
move through the deck is going to be fantastic. Maybe find
Bro, is he playing
that
two
extra
choice
attacker
builds?
that's going to help you out with the likely Lugia
Took his
V-Star
deck
coming
off.
down from
Yeah,
Henry's
come
side.
on.
Yeah, Henry is setting up very nicely here. He's the one who's only got the one Archeops down, but this Evolution Incense will grab another one, and we know Research is in hand, so this is definitely going to hit the discard pile. The only thing he's missing now is going to be that Lugia V-Star.
This is definitely a favorable spot to be in when you're staring down those two Lugia Vs on the other side. You can start to consider the rest of the prize exchange here. You're going to be able to take those two prize cards, and maybe you can work in a big knockout, continue to take those Vs and get yourself ahead.
This is a spot where Raikou would normally be a really solid attacker, but Henry's actually choosing not to play the card in his list for this weekend. What do you think of
'Cause
that
he put
inclusion?
that
I mean, that's a card that we
Snorlax.
saw
That card
in
is so
both of
good.
the Orlando finalist stacks.
Especially right now.
Henry's choosing not to play it, though.
Gives you
Yeah, I
big
mean, we saw
advantage.
Tord Reklev even lean over towards it, and you know that he loves that consistency so much. So it has to be
It's so
a
good.
vital piece to a lot of different matchups. And Henry
And
just
you don't
says,
even play it.
you know, I'm not actually thinking that's the best card for this right now.
Oh,
I'd
just
like that
research.
inclusion of the Snorlax, and
Yeah, he's
maybe
gonna get
that's
loops.
a different way to approach the matchup.
The only thing Henry needs here is
There
going to
you
be that Lugia V-Star, and I
You
do
get an
think the
Ultra.
Ultra Ball
There it
was
is.
grabbed. So Lugia V-Star incoming. We're going to see the turn 2, getting two Archeops in play, loading up an attacker. Now the question here is going to remain, does Henry attack with the Lugia V-Star itself here? Pretty easy way to take two prizes, or is this the time that you want to use your Amazing Rare Eviltal?
Yeah, it's kind of scary to commit all of those special energies early on. You want to usually have that as an option to take out one of those higher hit point Pokemon like the Lugia V-Star if it did find the V-Guard energy. So I expect to see the Lugia used early, but of course it's anyone's choice here. Is Henry's going to go ahead and fill the bench here with that Summoning Star.
Summoning Star bringing down the Archeops in Primal Turbo, notified right away, and it does appear that it is going to be
Okay, he's gonna
Lugia
swing.
as the grab.
Yeah, 'cause
grabbing
you
that
got the
double turbo
knockout.
and
Might as well.
powerful colorless energy.
And you get
kinda
one
canceling
rid of
each
one
other
of
out,
his
right? The double
aura
turbo does
energy.
provide 2, but it makes your damage do 20 less. The powerful turbo adding 20 to your damage. So we're going to see that 220 is going to be enough to KO Lugia V.
Yep. If there was additional needed, we do see that choice belt already in the hand there. So some ways to continue to deal extra damage will be available for Henry later on, but just going to go ahead and only use that single powerful to get this big knockout here and take the opening 2 prize cards.
2 prize cards to Henry, does find that Snorlax, but there are 3 energies in the prizes still for Henry. Always something that can be awkward to deal with. Justin does appear to have that Lugia V-Star in his hand, so he'll have the response here in order to get both of his Archeops in play. But does he have all 4 powerful colorless energies in his deck is the question. Does he have too many in his hand potentially as well?
Yeah, that's definitely something to look out for. It looks like there are 2 in the hand right now. Oranguru would be able to help out with getting one of those back into the deck, but do you have to go for something different like Quick Ball Luminion and then shuffle them back in?
We'll start off with the Summoning Star, grab those 2 Archeops, here they come. Now see if the Primal Turbo maybe comes down before the Guru. I think if you're going for the 4 powerful, you definitely want to do that before you use Guru to put one back in, because there is always the chance you could draw back into one.
Yeah, nice to see there. Of course, you have the energy attachment for the turn that you can use as well, so you can just attach that powerful energy and then use the Oranguru, put another one back in, and then find it once more with that second Archeops. So certainly the map is there to get all of the powerful energies down, but that also just puts you in a spot where you're dealing 300 damage, and well, I guess that's plenty here. There's no V-Guard.
That's the thing,
I see a lot of energies there and a little bit of the green flare, but it's not V-Guard there.
Yeah, that's where prizing that card comes back to hurt Henry here. I mean, obviously there's nothing he could have done about it, but I think if it was available, he definitely was slamming it here to have on this Lugia, because that's what you want to do in this mirror when you go first. You want to force the Eviltal out early from your opponent, force them to have as much as possible.
Yep, so only going to need the 3 powerfuls, so I guess that makes this
sure.
pretty easy as well.
Dang,
you can,
he's
of course,
shuffling them
commit a
hard.
different energy like that V-Guard of your own, but you already see the Eviltal down. But also, is there another Pokemon you want to play that on? I don't think we want to see another V down on the side of Justin's field.
There is no Dunsparce on Henry's side, so there's always an opportunity for Justin's own Raikou to come in and take a knockout. But with that Manaphy in play, you don't get the full effect from it. And Justin has actually not got enough energies on this active yet, not enough damage to take this KO. So maybe it makes me wonder if he's going for like a boss play this turn, potentially?
Yeah, this is certainly curious. We've seen both of the Archeops used and the energy attachment, so that would not be enough to take the knockout here. Gonna see the Lumineon, and yeah, sure enough, as you're mentioning, going to go with the alternate route. But this is interesting because we saw a boss that was lost early.
I mean, this is a really smart play from Justin because he knows that Henry is going to have a hard time responding to this Lugia, right? Especially with he's having the V-Guard on it. Yveltal's not going to be able to be powered up in one turn. And Henry chose not to use his second Primal Turbo last turn. If he had maybe grabbed just an extra energy and just even put one energy onto Yveltal last turn, it would have at least been a threat. But choosing not to use that second Primal Turbo allows Justin to make this play, taking the KO and taking one prize. It doesn't tie the game up. There's the same amount of knockouts, but Henry, of course, did take a V knockout, getting him 2 prize cards. Henry is going to have to go for a boss and chase down the Lumineon, maybe even punishing Justin a little bit for even putting it in play.
Yeah, that's going to be a nice way to continue to take some of these prize cards here. But yeah, there's definitely some curious back and forth. As you see the double turbo attached to the Lugia, that means that there really wasn't reach for all of the powerful energies and the choice belt to take a knockout on the Lugia V-Star. And yes, there's a potential to take this knockout here on the Lumineon, of course, go down to 2 prize cards, but you need to start setting up a second attacker. Going to see those energies committed to the Yveltal now, and that's going to be a nice way to potentially close this game out, as it's getting scary with just one Archeops.
Yeah, it is rough.
It does have that Snorlax in hand. We could even see that come down, get an energy.
It's
try to prep a couple of different attackers so you have an option for either one next turn, depending on what your opponent does. You would have to attach the capture energy, and it's always a little interesting because capture energy is one of the important ways to find your Pokemon later on, but you also need to attach energies every single turn, ideally, right?
Exactly, yeah. If this could go and find a Pokemon like that Radiant Charizard, once the prize cards get a little bit closer, that's a great Pokemon to find. But we do see the Quick Ball already, so I guess no harm, no foul.
Just swing.
And Henry will take the KO, going to just 2 prizes remaining, and with 2 energy on his Yveltal, Justin is left wondering, what is his possible response? He found 2 bosses' orders, does only play 2 copies of the card. Could reach for the knockout on this Lugia V-Star, but what does that exactly net him is the question.
Yeah, I don't know if this is on the flow chart for the boys, because this is a tricky situation to get out of. We're going to see the Archeops promoted to start things off, and I'm not sure if there's a way to
get a
different Pokemon into the active spot after we've seen the double boss played.
Yeah, if Justin could attack with Yveltal here, that would be really good, but of course it is prized, so it's just something he's not going to have an option to go for.
He probably plays 4 cap.
It's like we'll see that Oranguru come on down, and there's an option to preserve some of those powerful energies now.
See that Primate Wisdom, puts the card on top, swaps it for another card from the top of the deck, and Primal Turbo being utilized after putting that energy back. We're going to see maybe even just the Archeops attack, or does he have to just load up and go with the Lugia? I mean, that just feels like you're just crossing your fingers that Henry's prized a bunch of energies in his last 2, the last 2 that he needs.
Take it to game 2.
That's pretty unlikely, a pretty low odds play.
Yeah, once you've seen your opponent already play an energy down for the turn from their hand, you expect to see at least one more.
Right.
And to not see the other double turbo, that's getting tricky.
We will see Aurora being grabbed from the deck, and that can allow this Archeops to retreat. Now Henry is on just 2 prize cards, so I guess the best attacker here for Justin would be to pull off the Radiant Charizard. If he can find Radiant Charizard and a Choice Belt, get a 1-hit knockout on this Lugia, maybe while Marnieing Henry, trying to disrupt him just
he's gonna try to boss
a bit.
Up
That's probably going to be his best play. I just don't know if he quite has it.
Yeah, we'll see. The commitment of the Aurora energy is also a little bit worrisome, but should see some of those resources still left here. As we do see the Choice Belt and the Quick Ball.
Yep, I think this was Justin's play. This is what he needed to do. He was not able to find a Marnie, however. It had to be a research as the supporter for turn. It does yield him more cards, which is nice, but the issue then becomes Henry gets to keep his hand, which has already gotten to be stacked up a few times over the last couple turns.
Going to see that capture energy used there, so preserve the resource of the quick ball now. And
That's good.
there was that heat fire energy in the hand as well, so not going to value the additional hit points here. Just going to go for that big knockout, and I say just, but that's a pretty strong way to get back into the game here.
And it's pretty mapped out for Henry. Even if he doesn't have a Serena in hand to try to close this out, or another boss, something like that, to just KO the Lugia V-Star, Henry can just come up and take this KO with the Snorlax pretty freely. And yeah, it looks like Henry must just have it because we see that Yveltal being promoted right away.
Yeah, I think the quick ball is in the hand there.
Yeah.
Luminion should be able to go after a way to bring that Lugia into the active spot.
Yeah.
And Henry has mapped out a flawless opening victory here in game number 1.
Yep, so Luminion will bring up the boss's orders. We see the energies being grabbed out from Archeops, and that Yveltal's amazing destruction will take those final 2 prizes needed for Henry. He wins game number 1 here in the Lugia Mirror. Back and forth game, pretty quick one though.
Yeah, it was a fun one. As of course, it's always interesting to see what the player going second thinks is the way to bring that advantage slowly back into their favor potentially. Going after the Archeops was an interesting route, but sure enough, just didn't have the resources to back it up
team on
with
the
that
left.
amazing rare Yveltal and the prizes.
Yeah, didn't quite have exactly what he needed. Had to put the Luminion in play to go for the boss's orders. I mean, just hoping that Henry doesn't have a boss on the Luminion that turn maybe, so that you can clear it out of play with an Aqua return. That was probably Justin's hope. I think he went for his best line, taking out that Archeops, trying to limit Henry as much as possible, but the fact he had to put Luminion in play to do it maybe makes it a little more questionable.
Yep, and that is how it's going to go down here in game number 1 here in round 2 of the Oceania International Championships. We'll see what these players have for us in game number 2, as I expect to see Justin going first and
yes,
maybe getting some nice Pokemon in the discard pile.
That is going to be his strategy without a doubt. It does look like he was able to start a Lugia. Henry, on the other hand, has a bit more questionable of an opening hand. I think there's a Quick Ball and an Archeops, which is not too bad, but did have to start the Manaphy once again, which is not too bad, I guess.
Yeah, it's all the Pumpkaboo hanging out there. That's not good. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of energies.
For both players. 4 energies prized for Justin, 3 energies prized for Henry. Did prize one of his V-Star, but lucky for him, he's got 3.
Yep, and it looks like we do see one of the 2 choice belts there for Justin in the prize cards, so look to see if that has any play. But okay, that's a start, I guess. Justin is going to go with the powerful pass.
Wow, powerful energy to the Lugia and a pass, kicking it over to Henry. This is what you hate to see from the Lugia Mirror. You get to go first in game number 2. I mean, obviously, you lose the coin flip game 1. The game kind of plays out as it should. Your opponent is able to capitalize and win on the fact that they were going first. You open up your hand game 2. You've got no quick balls, no ultra balls, no way to get an Archeops down. You just have to attach to the Lugia and pass it over to your opponent and see what they can make happen.
Yeah, you always wonder, is it like a slow roll? Because you don't really need too much. Your opponent's not going to knock you out on turn number 1. But you also just don't want to go down to a 4-card hand with no Archeops in the discard pile. Usually you just play out all your cards. So we know Justin is not holding on to exactly what he wants right here. And Henry should definitely be looking to improve on that and make it look like his opponent didn't go first.
So he's played the Ultra Ball out. This is going to be taking a moment here, checking the prize cards, but will be likely grabbing out an Archeops just to discard it once again. I do think I spot a Quick Ball in his hand. Now, I'm kind of curious, though, here, Kyle. Is there merit for Henry reaching for that Luminion really fast as far as a way to disrupt Justin, try to go for the Marnie really quickly, or you just kind of wait to see what plays out?
Yeah, I mean, you think about all of the ways that your opponent can get back into this game, and sure enough, they could have a hand that just has the Archeops already in the hand and a Professor's Research, and then you just fall into the trap. They get an amazing opener here. So just, I think putting your opponent on the 4 cards, even though you know that these aren't exactly what they want, could be very strong.
We will see Henry grab the Luminion. I actually don't think I saw an out to Lugia V-Star in the hand. There may have been a Capture Energy. Let's see. Okay, he does have the Capture Energy, so that makes this play really strong.
Yeah.
Because this guarantees both the Lugia and it guarantees the disruption. And that was actually really smart sequencing as well from Henry. Used the Quick Ball, or excuse me, used the Ultra Ball, got the Archeops, shuffled up, and then used Primate Wisdom before playing the Quick Ball because he wanted to see if maybe he found the Marnie or found the Luminion without having to play the Quick Ball for it, so that that Quick Ball could grab a different resource, right?
Yeah, also just the fact that the Capture Energy gets to go to the Luminion, as this gives you the option to maybe retreat the Oranguru with just the double turbo, perhaps, and you get to hold on to one of those energies that you'd like to see later on in the game.
absolutely ideal from Henry when going second. There is only one Lugia
Was he
V
gonna try
in
to
play,
bench
but
the,
I mean, generally it's going to be
Snorlax?
pretty safe in this position to only have one Lugia. You don't have to overextend to get the second one down. Because Justin has no Archeops in the discard pile, and he's only got a 4-card hand, there's, I don't think, a combination of cards. I mean, I guess there is a combination of cards. It's like Ultra Ball, double Archeops, and Boss's Orders is the combination that gets him the knockout, but that is just so statistically unlikely. Will Henry play around it, though?
You do worry about it, and of course, you have an opportunity. You're already up a game. Do you feel like you can get away with this risk here? I feel like you could, but Henry is going to go the opposite route here to say, you know what, I already think that I've got a decent setup here. I can make a good game of this with 2 Lugias regardless, and we'll see what Justin has now.
All right,
now, this does actually make things awkward looking at Henry's hand, because he's got a Luminion and a Lugia V-Star as his last 2 remaining cards. So if Justin is not able to take a knockout this turn, Henry actually won't be able to realistically put that Luminion down, because he'll have to use those 2 bench spots for 2 Archeops, right? So it makes things a little interesting, but I guess it's probably a fine position. You don't have to play a supporter next turn if your opponent doesn't attack this turn, right?
Yep, this is about the only time that you want your Pokemon to get knocked out in the active spot.
30 minutes left in the round.
Orangaru has already done his job, I suppose, but we'll see if Justin is able to have one of those turns that capitalizes like that. As we do see the Quick Ball already with that Archeops and the Luminion being found there.
Research.
I don't know if the rest of the hand has anything to help out. Looks like that Professor's Research is going to be the big key here.
So I think in spots like this, when you're going first in the mirror and your opponent has a 1 prizer in the active, you really kind of want to get your Lugia V-Star out of the active most of the time. You want to go into a single prize Pokemon. And this is honestly a spot for Justin where he could go for the Raikou potentially. It could be decent. It would take the knockout on Orangaru and prep some damage on a Lugia so that it can be much more easily KO'd later on.
That's good.
We've also seen how worrisome it is to have that Luminion in play, and that could be a potential Pokemon to sneak in a situation like this. So
that's a good comeback.
We'll see which route Justin can take if the cards allow him to. It looks like the Archeops was found, but I don't think there's a way to
He didn't attach for turn.
No, there isn't. And Justin chose not to get any energies down before playing the research because he wanted the out to potentially find an Aurora here to discard an Archeops, but he doesn't even find that. There were so many different things he could have found. You have to question here now, is it going to be a single Archeops game? It never feels good, but it's what you have to do to keep up tempo sometimes.
Yep, this is so dangerous. Henry instantly grabbing the discard.
Right.
Have I lost the boss's orders yet? Because that is a juicy
TT.
target there if you can remove the single Archeops from play.
Don't TT.
Justin does have V-Guard in hand, so that will be pretty decent. It will at least protect this Lugia from being KO'd by Henry's Lugia, or at least making it quite a bit more difficult. But Henry can pretty reasonably respond with an Evil Tall here. Like you mentioned, that capture energy on the Luminion makes it a pretty nice pivot after Orangaru goes down.
Yep, sure enough, that's going to be the play here. Justin taking that prize card and has got a long road ahead of him there with that single Archeops down. We'll see if Henry has a way to answer back now, as that could be an absolutely devastating blow here.
Double.
Lugia V-Star coming into play, Summoning Star being utilized, Archeops being split on the bench, and now Primal Turbo will grab some of these special energies from the deck. It appears like Lugia may have to be the attacker. If Henry has a Choice Belt in hand, this is going to be a pretty strong play. 3 powerful energy plus the Choice Belt is enough for Lugia to take the KO.
Oh, yeah. We see the 3 powerfuls right there along with that capture. The Luminion V comes down here.
Bossy.
And the decision is here to be made. Could you go after that Archeops, or do you go with the Irida to go and find that belt? And that is going to be a great way to remove this basically the only attacker right now from Justin's side of the play.
And Henry can make this play because he knows that this Lugia is not going anywhere. Justin has no way to power up Evil Tall in one turn. Luminion can deal 120 damage to it, but that is going to be just about it. Henry takes 2 prize cards, and he is so far ahead in this game.
Luminion goes up.
A devastating
already
blow.
On turn 2.
Yep. What do you do from that point? Going to just be the promotion of a Luminion, and that's also something that you have to worry about when you're playing with just the one Archeops. Is you almost have to telegraph your plays from this point out, because retreating is so terrible.
Justin's going to take a moment to look at the discard pile. Of course, a resource battle is always an option, but I mean, we're only on turn 2. Henry has pretty much everything left available. We're not down any boss's orders. We're down the 1 choice belt. He does only play the 1 copy, but we do see that Irida. It's funny enough that Irida comes into play there, fetching out that choice belt. That's kind of been a point of contention, it feels like, for some people, is if the Irida is worth playing or not.
Yeah, and of course you can go and find that water Pokemon too,
so
but
good.
Yeah, who cares? Sometimes just finding the belt to take the big knockout is everything that you need.
Belt. You can play.
Justin will be looking through the deck with Primal Turbo, bringing a couple energies to the front.
Capturing
and he's going to choose
Aroma.
to just prep the Evil Tall here. Is that
I mean,
going to be just a retreat of the Luminion into a Run Prizer potentially, or passing with the Luminion active? That, I mean, we're grasping at straws here. This is looking like an uphill battle for Justin.
The Luminion.
Henry's bench is full, however, and both Luminion are in play. So Justin should feel like there's a decent chance that there's no boss's orders play from Henry on the next turn.
Marnie.
He'll go with the Marnie as well.
Yeah, looking at the way the prizes could fall theoretically, there's, I guess, this small opportunity where you could work in the knockout here with Evital and then try to take these V Pokemon out of play, but you're going to have to work in somebody with higher hit points. So seeing that Lugia V is going to be helpful, but this is such an uphill battle.
Oh, and he finds the boss's orders off of the Marnie, and Justin can't even power up Evital now because it has a powerful colorless energy on it. If he was able to get like an Aurora or a double turbo attached, he still could have gotten to that this turn, but Justin isn't even going to have a way to attack next turn.
Yeah, we're in theme deck mode. You're just going to have to play energies from your hands and try to get there, and that is not how you play Lugia.
Henry absolutely pushing the advantage here, thinning as much as possible. This is what you want to do when you're ahead. You want to make sure you cut off any opportunity for your opponent to find a path back into the game, and Henry has done just that, taking the KO, going to 3 prizes left.
That is fantastic. Of course, it's just 3 extra energies, but I don't think we're going to need to see all those, as even Archeops hanging out with no Primal Turbos required on that last turn.
And I was sitting there trying to think of any play for Justin. He can't think of one either. He extends the hand, and Henry Brand will get the win in round number 2, moving to 2-0, winning that Lugia mirror match.
Yeah, it was just the way the cards fall sometimes. You look at that mirror match and going first, taking that advantage and making something of it, and Justin just not able to find the right hand. Had to go with the single Archeops.